Hello everybody, it's Vertical Sandwich. Welcome to Book Reviews, or welcome back to Book Reviews. So today we're going to do Ann Leckie's Ancillary Sword, the sequel to Ancillary Justice, second book in the Ancillary Trilogy. Now, that might not be actually what it's called, but anyway. Alright, so Breck is a soldier who used to be a warship, once a weapon of conquest controlling thousands of minds. Now she has only a single body and serves the Emperor. With a new ship and a troublesome crew, Breck is ordered to the only place in the galaxy she would agree to go, to Athowek Station, to protect the family of a lieutenant she once knew. A lieutenant she murdered in cold blood. Yes, spoilers for Ancillary Justice. Yes, there are going to be spoilers, because at the end of Ancillary Justice, and this is the crazy thing, we find out that that the reason that there is a bad guy in this story is because one hive mind has fractured into two, and the second hive mind is actually it's not even, it's the same person. That the same person is fighting, it's a crazy mind twisting blah. And yes. And that is fantastic. Now, you find that out in Ancillary Justice, and Ancillary Justice is a great book. And one of the things I will say, Ancillary Sword, Ancillary Mercy, they're fine books. They're fine. However, once kind of the novelty of reading from the point of view of like an ex-hive mind wears off, the second and third book kind of don't have the punches to pull, right? They become like a comfortable space opera. So, I mean, if that makes any sense to you, like a well-written version of starships fighting, around a solar system and trying to one-up one another and things like that. Which is not my favorite type of science fiction. But, again, I think that it's like, here's the thing, there's anything in science fiction can be done well or badly. The Big Time is a really bad time travel story. Blackout All Clear is also a time travel story. But it's a masterpiece. Like an absolute masterpiece. So like Down Below Station is a space opera, and it's a pile of crap. This is also space opera, and it's not so bad, right? And my newest book, Memory Called Empire, which is the 2020 winner of the Hugo Award, I'm about 60 pages in, and it seems pretty refreshing, but it's also referred to as a space opera. So we'll see. I don't like the term space opera. I don't think that there's anything about opera that makes it more enjoyable when you put it in space. No, that's not. I understand that's not what the term means. Clearly, space opera to me says kind of these, epic star battle kind of things, and like those things in general to me are not very interesting. That the fighting in space. Until it becomes something like the Forever War, where it's all about relativistic travel, and so when you get somewhere, your enemy could be thousands of years ahead of you because, it's only been 3 months for you, but for them it's been 1,000 years. Suddenly you're just hopelessly outclassed by somebody whose butt you kicked 3 months ago. That's fantastic. Or if you're dealing with David Brin's Intelligent Dolphin novel, where everybody's just sitting in orbit around this planet and it just keeps talking about them. And they're all just really bored and waiting to attack, they're all just waiting to see what's going to go on this planet. And you're like, oh, you're just showing me all these aliens for fun. And that was fun. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was great. It was, so Ancillary Justice kind of devolves into this idea of kind of treachery in this empire and who's on whose side. And then these kind of ships, and if the commander is going to be, malicious, or if the commander is going to be on their side, or if they can convince, space politics and stuff like that. And I know you're just well, I just cracked my jaw so hard from yawning that I can no longer close my mouth. Well, Ann Leckie does it well, right? It's a lot of, she makes it very personal, right? So it's not, it's not I almost said it's not Wrath of Khan, but here's the thing: if you see one Star Trek movie in your life, see Wrath of Khan. Like, it's a great movie. But and not the new Star Trek stuff. Like, I'm not gonna say I don't like that, but nothing is gonna top the second Star Trek movie as far as Star Trek movies go. Sorry. Anyway, I was gonna, but anyway, so it's not, it's not like setups on this state, and then this ship is ready, and then you read 200 pages of ships preparing, and then it all happened, like blah 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 blah. When it was over and the dust cleared, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's more. She sets it up more like a murder mystery, that like this person, by like showing up, starts trying to do the right things, and the reactions don't make any sense, and then this person starts piecing it together like, oh, there's something really crazy going on here. There's only one logical explanation, like, that guy's the murderer, and you're like, and there's not actually a murderer, this is a metaphor, but like, oh, so this is what's going, and then they start doing stuff, and like, and Ann Leckie does a really good job of keeping you in the dark until everything comes together, and you go like, oh, yeah, like, I didn't know those things were possibilities, but now that you've explained them to me, that makes perfect sense. And I like that. I like being kept in the dark, and I like a mystery being built around me, so I can go like, huh, that's not the reaction I would expect, or wow, why would anybody do that? Or hey, this is kind of crazy. Like, and then all of a sudden, there are things going on, and you're like, oh yeah, oh, okay, I got it. And, yeah, so, we'll just read a little bit. Yeah, because I read the back of this, right? So, shortly thereafter, almost exactly 1 minute before I could expect any reply to my first message, an Atrippa handed me a bowl of tea, and the ship that we all presumed was sort of Antigaris disappeared. I had been watching it, enjoying the view, which for once came close to overwhelming the non-quietness that was my usual experience of receiving so much data from ship. Not quite able to process everything, not quite enough to overwhelm the sensation of seeing what I wanted. So close, but not close enough to really touch. But for those few moments, I could almost forget that I wasn't a ship anymore. So when Sword of Antigaris disappeared, I reacted immediately, without thinking, and found myself paralyzed. The numbers I wanted didn't come, not immediately, and the ship, capital S, which was, of course, Mercy of Cal, and not me, would not move at my mere desire, the way my own body would have. I came sharply back to myself, to my one single body sitting in command. But Ship knew what I wanted and why. Lieutenant Akalu said, "Sir, are you all right?" And then Mercy of Cal moved just the smallest bit faster than it could adjust the gravity. The bowl tumbled out of my hand and shattered, splashing tea over my boots and trousers. Lieutenant Akalu and the Atrippas stumbled, grabbed at handholds, and we were suddenly back in gate space. "They gated," I said, almost as soon as they saw us. Certainly before they'd gotten our message, identifying ourselves. They saw us, and 30 seconds later they moved. The jar that had dumped tea all over my feet had waked Lieutenant Tissera Watt, as well as her bows. Like, yeah, so now this person who used to be a battleship and is now a single part, like, of a hive mind left fragmented and alone in the world, is part of a ship that has lost its ancillaries and is now an AI all by itself. And they have a very interesting relationship with one another. So, and there is treachery afoot, but we don't know what kind, and strange happenings happening, and strange things thinging. And the author is doing a wonderful job of leaving us in the dark. And of course, here's the thing. This is book 2 of a trilogy. And one of the things that Ann Leckie does really well, super well, and this is a huge thing for me, you can read Ancillary Justice, and when you're done with it, you feel like you're done. And when you pick up Ancillary Sword, you start reading, and you feel like that's fine, but when you're done with Ancillary Sword, you feel like you're done. Like, I cannot stand when somebody writes, like, a trilogy, like, with a cliffhanger, so that you have to read the trilogy, right? that like you literally have to have the next book on hand to pick up when you're done. But that's not the way Ann Leckie wrote this. I read Ancillary Justice, and then months later, I picked up Ancillary Sword. I was reading 2 trilogies at the same time, if I remember correctly. So, like, yeah, okay, so this is what happened. I read Ancillary Justice, and then I kind of, like, left it alone, and I finished Hugo Award winners or something, and I picked up Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. And then I was done, and I was like, man, I know those are both trilogies, maybe I should order them. And so I did. I ordered all 4 books, so book 2 and book 3 out of each series simultaneously. And then whichever one I got book 2 of first, I read that one. And then I got book 3 and 2 of the opposite series, and so I read those 2. And then the last book to show up was okay, so the way it worked is I got the second book of the Southern Reach trilogy, then I got the next 2 Ancillary books, and I read those back to back. And then I went back and read the last book of the Southern Reach trilogy because it came last. So, which is better than both book 3s coming and the book 2s just hanging back so you can't read anything. But I think you actually could do that. I actually think you could read Ancillary Justice and then Ancillary Mercy and then Ancillary Sword. And I don't think you'd have Ancillary Mercy would spoil kind of the main stuff about Ancillary Sword for you, so you obviously wouldn't want to do that. What I'm saying is that they're all really good books. If you picked up Ancillary Sword by itself, having not read Ancillary Justice, you could get a good feel for it. And all the characters you need to know in the book you kind of meet here. And if you don't, they're kind of recapped really well. So Ann Leckie did a really good job of packaging this as a novel, not as the second novel in a 3-novel set. That's my pet peeve. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And when we talk about the Southern Reach trilogy, we'll talk about that as well, because Jeff Vandermeer did an amazing job as well, just making 3 books that are just so kind of different from one another. So when we come back, we will be talking about Ancillary Mercy, the 3rd book in the Ancillary trilogy. I will see you guys for that. Bye, everybody.